This is G. You're watching Allastrology. Today for you, Cancer. This is your November reading. Now, November has an eclipse coming. Yes, we just had an eclipse in October. I know. And there's another one coming in November. And that's how they work. They always come in pairs. Eclipses don't normally ever travel alone. Matter of fact, sometimes you get 3, right? Usually 2 weeks apart. That's how they work. I'm going to break down like what the eclipse means because there's a lot of different pieces to it. And so I'm going to talk about that. And then we're also going to talk about a location of your life where there's going to be a new beginning. Something new is coming, but maybe more than one new thing, right? We'll see. Now, if you don't have your own chart here at Allastrology, every subscriber can have a chart, an accurate birth chart, okay? And that's just part of the service of Allastrology. That's just part of being a star here at the channel. So if you don't have your own chart, what are you waiting for? So eclipses always bring a change. That's how they work. They're powerful. And they're powerful because they're near the moon's nodes. This eclipse is a lunar eclipse. So number one, what does that mean? Lunar eclipse means the moon. The moon's involved, right? So it's a full moon eclipse. That's what that means. It is a blood moon lunar eclipse. Yeah, lunar, full moon, blood moon. It's just that time of year. It's not like, oh my God, there's a blood moon. It's just the way, it's the time of the year. It's the season. This is how it rolls, right? So full moons, if you've ever heard any of the other videos or if you're familiar, full moons always involve an increase of emotions. That's just what it is. The moon represents water, okay? And water is emotions, all right? And because it's full, it's at the height of emotions, right? You see this moon up in the sky, it's a little crescent, and then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So it builds like literally a couple days before, which brings me to the next point. The eclipse is on the 8th of November, okay? So depending upon where you live in the world, the full moon eclipse happens at 5:02 a.m., and that would be Central Standard Time because that's in the time zone I live in. So adjust for where you live. It's a full moon. It's in the sign of Taurus. All right, so we understand that it's a full moon. We just talked about what a full moon means a little bit. I said it's water and it's emotions. That also means more. It's family. It's feminine energy. So this can be your family, like blood-related family members, but this can also be like mom energy for you, right? Or any feminine energy in your life that is nurturing in some way. I mean, think of what a mom is. Like, give me a definition of the word mom. What comes up in your mind? Like, what do you see? What do you visualize? What feelings are felt when you think of mom? Warm, nurturing, giving, sometimes sacrificing, right? That's mom. Mom supplies you with your needs or was supposed to. Maybe she didn't, right? So this full moon, okay, is a release in something because it's a full moon, and that's just what full moons are. It's like a completion energy. It's kind of like, it's a completion because it's the full moon. When the moon gets to that full part, when it literally is up in the sky and it's full, that means it's just completed its cycle. After that, after it's reached that peak, it starts to wane. It starts to get, the light becomes less, right? It starts waning. So it completes a cycle. So there's something you're finishing. And what is that? Well, because it's in Taurus, number 2, because it's in Taurus. Yeah, I'm counting, I guess. Because it's in Taurus, that tells us it's our values. It's what you value, who you value. And Taurus is the earth, right? Because it's an earth sign. So literally the earth itself, or things that are of quality, like, well, that could be food, creature comforts, right? Beauty. Absolutely. So for you, Cancer, it's a value, maybe self-love, maybe those that you love, right? Significant relationships, people that are just, hey, you're really close to them. You love them, right? So they're valuable to you. Now, let's find out where this happens. I just gave you all that information, but now we can also see the where it happens. And if I didn't mention it, you're going to get a card after this too. And then a card after the second event, which will be the new beginning. that I spoke of. We'll also have a card for that. Okay. So this is friendships. This is group energy. This is like social causes, like groups that you belong to. So examples of groups that you belong to for social causes, what would they be? If you have Taurus energy there, well, these are people who are all about the earth. People who are like, okay, we need to minimize, we need to live like a clean, green life, right? We're doing things that are good for the earth. So we're all about green energy. People who recycle, reuse, uh upcycle or whatever, right? Yeah, we're conserving energy. We are looking out for the earth. We're not trying to abuse the earth anymore. Therefore, we may be annoyed when we see others abusing the earth or littering, right? It's the 11th house. So if you belong to groups, and maybe you're not one of those people that officially belongs to a group, right? Because this placement, there's something about that camaraderie with people who are like-minded in that way, who value the earth, but who also value the same things that you value. So it doesn't just have to be all about the earth itself, but maybe they like the same food you do, right? Or they appreciate beauty the way you appreciate it, nature, whatever you consider beautiful. If I asked you to define beauty, what would it be, right? Yours would be a little bit different, absolutely, because it's in that 11th house, which means it's unique, it's different, it's unconventional. It kind of goes against the grain, right? So it's a little, it's an interesting placement having your Taurus energy, because that's this eclipse. It's at Taurus. And if I didn't give the degrees, it's at Taurus at 16 degrees. Yeah. So this is a release and a let go. And that's what this eclipse is about, because it's a full moon eclipse. All right. Now, there's also another piece to this, which is that it is right smack damn near Uranus. And it's also a couple of degrees away from the North Node. So the North Node means it's something about your future and my future. Okay. So I have to dissect the Taurus words a little bit more so that we can know, well, what about my future? The Taurus words will tell us that, and your location, friends, and groups that you belong to. 11th house is also angelic realm too, I wanted to add. The Taurus energy is banking and money and income. Yes, banking, money, and income. I also want to add that 11th house energy, it's electric, right? So sometimes it's socializing online, like in groups. For some people, there may be like social chat rooms they belong to. Some do dating sites, but that's really more one-on-one, but it would be something that may lead to the next step. So maybe that's like one of those fast speed dates, like that you rotate people digitally. I don't know if that exists. I'm sure it does, but something like that where there's just a lot of people. So Facebook, lots of people absolutely would be this. But do you value that? It just comes down to your free will and what do you value, right? So Taurus is the creature comforts I mentioned, but let's break that down. My taste, my touch, my smell, my senses. So obviously food is a big deal there, but then also clothing, possibly cosmetics, just beauty in general, right? If I didn't say fine art, jewelry, someone who likes to go shopping, it's feminine energy. It's like Venus. Venus rules this. Yeah, Venus rules full moon because it's a full moon in Taurus. Venus as the ruler. So yeah, we got to pay attention to financing and banking and values. So gold and silver and commodities. Yeah, and so it's a release in something. So it's really possible you're simply releasing, I don't know, there's this favorite food I have and it's getting a little costly, or I just can't afford it anymore. Or because I couldn't afford it before, I've just realized I've gone without that for 3 weeks. And well, do I really need to go back to it? No, right? So it might be something as simple as that. The way you know if it's going to be bigger than that for you is by seeing if you have something in your chart at the 16 degrees. Okay. And I'm kind of pushing this point because I want you to have your own chart because it's knowledge of the universe in your hands. You don't have to be dependent on someone like me. Uranus, I didn't talk about that piece of it yet. Uranus is here. And I mean like right here. Uranus is literally minutes away from this full moon. So since Uranus is a surprise, because that's what Uranus is, it's unconventional. It's known as the awakener. It's also electric. It's also, devices in the home, like big stuff like refrigeration. Sometimes people's air conditioning goes down or they have heating issues, just large devices in the home because think about this, the 11th house was something that that led to the advancement of humanity. All of humanity progressed based on these inventions. Like that's what this is for you, right? It's in that location. So we talk about it being a humanitarian and social causes thing. Okay. So it could be anything, but science is a big deal. And I will add here that astrology is a big deal with that 11th house too. So it's a release and it's a let go of a value, but it's your value. It's not a shared value. It's something that's yours. And it's really only going to be like money out of your pocket, or you'll really see it in your life if you have something at those degrees. So we give a 2-degree orb before or after. So you may see it written as a positive or a negative of 2 degrees. So what does that mean? If the eclipse is at 16, I'm going to say a 2-degree before and after. So that means 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 degrees. Got it? You got questions? Comment me below. Now I'm going to pull your card. They're telling me to mix them. You like that sound? Mix them up and then split them or cut the deck and take the one right on top. And that's what we're doing. So this is for your eclipse energy. Ready? Really interesting card. It's Cancer and Gemini energy together. Look at that. You see the signs? Wow. Gemini, yeah. Look at that. Gemini and then Cancer. Yeah. Gemini and Cancer energy. This is really fascinating. These energies get along, by the way. Cancer, as you can see here, Cancer energy, feminine energy, nurturing, right? I talked about that already because this is what the eclipse is. It's the full moon. But then we have Gemini assisting in some way, bringing news that is helpful. It's helpful. Coming to the assistance, right? These two energies get along. How do I know that? Mercury and the moon get along, right? They're next door to each other. They're both, here's the thing. I didn't go into it, but I will. Cancer energy and the moon is the soul, right? It's other lifetimes, or we'll say soul memory or soul history. Okay. Some liken the moon energy to like a portal, whether it's traveling through time. Anyway, this channel doesn't do all that. You can go somewhere else for that. I stick to the astrology and then pull you these beautiful cards to give you a beautiful visual. There's support, there's information and news. And what I will say is, because Mercury's arrived, Mercury in Gemini, Mercury rules Gemini, because Mercury has arrived here to give that support and bring a bit of information, and it's going to help in some way. Look, whether it's in digital mail, so not snail mail, but also look in your snail mail, but it's news in general. So it could be something you hear from a friend, because they're friends. You see that? Yep, they're friends. Gemini energy is friends. So it could be someone who literally lives around your home, because the sign of Cancer represents home and family, but it also represents your physical home and your emotions, right? Your physical your emotional foundation in childhood. Something is being released. There was a value, possibly something you used to value because it was something you didn't get as a kid, but now as an adult, you're just like, wow, that was overrated, or maybe you're just a person who didn't really need it as much, right? It's a really good possibility, but there's a news coming. There's some sort of information, and it's going to be helpful online because it's Gemini, right? So our phones, our emails, a communication, whether we're whatever social platform you mess around on, right? Some sort of a communication from a friend, definitely a digital neighbor, because that is Gemini energy, digital neighbors. But again, it's also the neighbors around where you live, your local community, right? And it can bring information. It could have to do with business and sales and merchants, because that is talking. That's Gemini energy. Yeah, it's a good talker, right? So this is to assist you for this eclipse energy. One thing I want to add is that with this eclipse, with this release of a value that you have, and it may simply be something like you're releasing friends you used to value. It could be that, or one friend you used to value, or you used to belong to a group and you're like, I'm not all into that anymore. I'm just not. And so you might be leaving, just not being associated with that group for whatever reason. Okay. But this let go and this release that you're doing is making room for the new, because it's near the North Node. And that's the piece I didn't really talk about. But North Nodes represent your future. So what that means is, being the sign of Taurus, it's the values, your future values, who and what you value for your future. So what kind of friends you might be making a transition in the way of, you know what, I don't want that for my future anymore. And when we make those changes in our mind and in our heart and our emotions about what it is we value and what we no longer value, we literally make changes. That speaks to the universe. I'll put it like that. Your frequency and your vibration change. And so then what comes to you, meaning people and events, experiences and opportunities and decisions and options and choices. That is Mercury here. Choices, choice points. We can have options on the table that we didn't maybe think were options, or we're getting additional information that is going to help us make a decision. So I like this for you, Cancer. This is a wonderful card to get. It's showing there's assistance with someone who obviously is maybe a little upset right now, or who looks like she just needs respite of some sort, right? So Mercury's assisting. Look out for that piece of information. Look out for that friend. Look out for that person who might have something that will be beneficial for you. Now let's get into your new moon energy. That's towards the end of the month. If I didn't mention all the degrees and the digits, I thought I did already, but in case I didn't, everything will be listed down below the video. So this Sagittarius, yes, Sagittarius new moon, it's happening on November 23rd, and it's at 1 degrees and 37 minutes. So technically 2 degrees of Sagittarius. So what does that mean? Well, Sagittarius is beliefs. And we've been kind of talking about beliefs, because when a person changes what and who they value, that's connected to their belief system, right? It's like, whoa, I don't believe in that. So if you don't believe in that, well, you're not going to value that, right? So it changed, like, it's all connected, right? It's all connected. Now, Sagittarius is also spirituality and religion. It's also learning, higher learning. It's like, I want to go back to school, right? This is a new beginning. School, or I want to take some classes, or maybe you're going to get a spiritual guru or a teacher that comes along in your life and somehow, just enlightens you in some way. Okay. Let's see where this happens in your life. And that will definitely help us to pinpoint this a little bit more deeply. This is in your 6th house. So this tells me this is your daily routines. Right. It's tied to possibly the health of your daily routines, or literally to your health, or the health of your tasks that you do every day, or your job. Like, what do you do for work? Do you have a job? The health of your job. But it's the beliefs tied to that job, beliefs tied to your daily routines, the beliefs tied to wanting to be free, wanting freedom, okay, wanting independence, but at the same time, wanting a better understanding of who you are. But the way you get that is when you interact with individuals. It's like you have to experience, you have to seek, you have to journey. You got to go on the journey, right? That's important. You go on that journey, and you know that it's that journey that gives you wisdom, which is what you ultimately seek, right? So this is connected really closely with your health and your routines, right? So what I see here is that when somebody has Sagittarius energy in their 6th house, sometimes things can be a little, well, what's the way to put it? A laser-like focus, because Sagittarius energy, think of Sagittarius, right? They're the person who's got a bow and arrow on a horse, right? And so it's the half human, half horse. And so they're a marksman. They're a sharpshooter. Yeah. But they're also shooting the arrow up to the sky. So they're always about, conquering something or ascending, reaching a goal, and then like maybe setting a new one, right? So they do have a tendency to possibly be zeroed in and really focused and kind of not see the details. They might like miss some of the details. So what that tells me is there might be some details, whether it has to do with health or work or just your daily, regular, everyday, average routines. Hygiene is part of this too, by the way. That's just what it is for the 6th house. There just might be some things where you're not seeing the fine print. You're not seeing the details. Okay. Because that's Sagittarian energy. It just sees like the forest. It doesn't see what kind of trees are in the forest. It just sees, oh, look Look at all those trees. It can't really tell you, well, this is this kind of a tree or this is this, or it doesn't even acknowledge them, right? It just says, but this is the forest. And that's what's important to Sagittarius. It likes go big or go home. Yeah, it's like the more the better. Yeah, I want an abundance of routines. I want an abundance of work. I want an abundance of, yeah, I just like to have lots of little things that I'm doing, or lots of little, you might even be one who kind of constantly changes what you do for health routines, because it's Sagittarius in the sixth house of daily routines. And this, again, can be tied to your job. So you would want flexibility is what that means. You would want a little variety, flexibility. You wouldn't want to be tied down. You would like the independent factor. You would like a job where you had a reasonable amount of freedom. Yeah. So religion might be involved in this. Spirituality also in some way. So you might find someone who comes along who can help you, whether it's with health, some sort of a teacher, some sort of a guru, probably a little bit of a spiritual slant to it, or you may see or perceive them that way, whether they really are or aren't. And it's tied in, they maybe could help you with a job, maybe could help you with a task at the job, but it's beliefs. It's their beliefs. Your beliefs are going to be similar. Your beliefs line up with their beliefs. Okay. And so that kind of a belief system with Sagittarius in this location, it's like all expansive. It's like, it's not going to be focused on one thing. It's like, well, we can try this and this and this. But what it may do is go overboard at times, because it likes to add to things. It says, okay, well, I've picked up this new health routine. So with this new health routine, they go out and they got to get the latest and the greatest and the best of this thing, of this gadget, right? Say you like, I don't know, say you're going to start skipping rope, or you're going to start lifting weights or something. All of a sudden you go to the gym, or you say, you know what? No, I need a gym in my home. And you knock a wall down and you start, like that. It would be like go big or go home energy, right? So let's pull a card. I feel like I've been talking forever. This is a new moon. So it is a new beginning for either a job. It could be literally a job. It could be, which, by the way, you might have a job that requires traveling, which would be good for you. If I didn't mention that, I don't think I did, because it's that sign that likes to go on a journey. So in part of your daily routines and tasks, you're probably a person where every day in the house, if at home, if working out of the house or whatever, you may have to leave the house. You may find times where it's like you need to at least get out of the house at least once a day, right? Even if you don't have to, there's a piece of freedom connected to that. Yeah, there's a piece of freedom in seeking and taking that journey, even if it means I'm going to the grocery store and my journey's going to be today that I'm going to the store on the other side of town, right? That's just a really silly, simplistic view of how that could look for you. So if you have your own chart and if you know what house this is in for you, or if you don't, I should say, and you're not sure, like if you have a planet there or whatnot, and you want to know more information, just comment to me and I will get those details to you. Now I'm pulling a card for your new moon in Sagittarius. They're telling me to shuffle one more time, so we're going to do that. Let's see here. Yeah, we got that. And they're telling me to pull the card right off the top. Yeah, it's very different today. Card right off the top. Let's see what we get for you. Really interesting, because this card supports Sagittarius energy in a big way. Sagittarius's ruler is Jupiter. I think I did mention that for you. Remember, this is your day-to-day routines, right? This can be health routines. This can be hygiene. I didn't say pets, but I want to say pets too, because it can be pets. But home is involved in this, and your emotions. This is what this card is showing. Cancer energy is emotions. You see that? Yeah, you see that? It's showing a sliver of the moon, though. It's not a full moon. It's showing a sliver, which means the new moon cycle just began. When we have a new moon, the moon's completely blackened out. We don't see it in the sky, right? That's the new moon energy. So this means this was something new that was begun. Feelings and emotions, family, all right? Feminine energy. And then we have Pisces. Ancient ruler was Jupiter. So this is beneficial for you because it gets along with this energy. It lends support. So you see the support? Look at that, right? The big hand, the little hand, mom, nurturing, something, somebody, something possibly at the job, something about your health, something about something that was laying dormant, right? Sleeping Beauty was not really dead. Someone came along, if I know my fairy tales, and she came to life. See how there was no color there for Sleeping Beauty? If that's who this is. Yeah, there's no color, right? But there's help and there's assistance, which tells us to rest and relax, maybe even meditate on what I'm saying, or maybe meditation for yourself, but something that is going to give you more peace and understanding. These two signs trine each other. And what that means is wonderful support for you. Yeah. So something about sleep, even maybe, or maybe you'll be getting more sleep, which will be wonderful. And at least if it's not more sleep, maybe the sleep that you get is more restorative, right? Yeah, you literally actually get rest. How many times have you gone to bed and you feel like you've been asleep and yet you hadn't even gone to sleep because you wake up and you're like, I don't feel like I've slept. I'm tired, right? This is showing support for a restorative vibration. Like there's going to be help while you're sleeping, right? Angelic help comes in. There's nurturing that happens, whether it's soul energy that comes in, because Pisces is also that soul energy, and so is Cancer, which are the two signs I've got here. I'm trying to get you some good colors on this card. I'm having a hard time getting that right for you. So yeah, you have some peace and relaxation. So it could be through movies, because that's Pisces energy. It could be through stories, right? Writing stories, reading stories, music, and theater, right? Do things that soothe your emotions, right? Possibly something from childhood that you didn't get, right? Yeah. Nurture yourself in some way. You're being the parent to yourself. And I love, love, love this for you, Cancer. Yeah, your sign's even on this card. The universe is with you. You are supplied. You are taken care of. There are bigger things happening behind the scenes for you. There are greater powers than me, greater powers than you at play here. And you are divinely guided. So below the video, I'll have all the degrees for those of you who like to pay attention to the degrees in your chart. Again, if you don't know and you want to know, just comment below.